I think he lasted about a week and a half.
Does sacking a manager whilst in the relegation zone improve a Premier League team's survival hopes? Premier League clubs have sacked a record-breaking 14 managers, including caretaker managers, you name it, 14 managers, and there could be more on the way, but only 42% of teams retain their top flight status after axing a manager whilst in the relegation zone, but the ratio plummets to just 15% for rock bottom clubs. Changes before the turn of the calendar year reap most of the success. Welcome back to the West Ham Network. Is there such a thing as a new manager bounce? Let's take a little look into this. So, first and foremost, there has been a record amount of managers being axed from the Premier League this season, and that tally could rise further as we enter the business end of the campaign. Managers under fire, such as Steve Cooper from Nottingham Forest, of course, our own manager, David Moyes at West Ham, all under pressure. And 9 of those departures were at clubs fighting at the wrong end of the table. Bournemouth, Wolves, Aston Villa, Everton, Leeds, Crystal Palace, Leicester, and Southampton, who have parted company with Ralph Hasenhüttl and Nathan Jones this term, have all looked to harness the new manager bounce amid the relegation battle. Let's take a little look at some of the teams that have already got rid of their boss this year. Scott Parker from Bournemouth back in August, replaced by Gary O'Neill. Thomas Tuchel, Chelsea, 7th of September, replaced by Graham Potter. Bruno Lage from Wolves, replaced back in the 2nd of October. Julian Lopetegui. Steven Gerrard left Aston Villa, 21st of October. Unai Emery came in. Southampton with one of the first sackings of the Premier League season in the 7th of November when Ralph left the club. Nathan Jones came in. Looked how that worked out for them. Frank Lampard, Everton, 23rd of January. Sean Dyche came in. 6th of February, Jesse Marsch left Leeds. Javi Gracia came into the club, and that's about to change as well. You've got Nathan Jones, of course, leaving Southampton, with them making the decision to get rid of their second manager, the 12th of February, bringing in Ruben Selles. Patrick Vieira, Crystal Palace, he left there on the 17th of March, and who came in? Roy Hodgson. Antonio Conte left Tottenham, who came in to replace him. Stellini, the man who also left the Tottenham place as well. Brendan Rodgers leaving Leicester City, being replaced by Dean Smith. Graham Potter, for his second managerial change of the year, moving from Chelsea, and Frank Lampard, his role as well. Stellini from Tottenham leaving his role, replaced by nobody, just Mason sitting in there as the interim manager. And of course, the news that we are hearing today, which is Gracia's leaving Leeds, and who's back? Big Fat Sam. Who would have thought it? About a crazy amount of money, 4 games, 500 grand, £500,000 to try and keep Leeds United up. Will they get the manager bounce? But we're here to talk about it. And Graham Potter, and I'll give you an example of some of the stuff. Graham Potter's voluntary departure from Brighton to replace Tommy Tuchel at Chelsea in September, before being axed himself last month, extends that number of managerial changes during the campaign. And there could be more coming your way. Now, when you look through the archives and you see the amount of teams that have switched manager at several points in the season, and in total, only 31 of 73 clubs ended up avoiding the drop after axing the manager when they were in the drop zone. You heard me correct, 31 of 73 clubs that done it, which equates to the following pie chart. 58% still have a chance of relegation after axing their manager in the mid-season, and 42% of people do survive. And all figures, only these current ones here, only include the first managerial change while in the relegation zone during the respective seasons. So that is definitely for interesting reading. Now, of course, there are several other factors to consider, such as the position of the club within the relegation zone and what period of the season the managerial change occurred. But starting with the position, unsurprisingly, clubs are far better off axing managers before they hit the rock bottom. So since 95-96 season, when the league was trimmed to 20 clubs, teams changing manager then sat in 18th, have a survival rate of 54%, while teams in 19th have an 58% chance. However, the ratio plummets to just 15% for teams axing their manager when sat bottom of the table, as you can see from this slide here. Let me see if I can bring that picture out for you there. It rocks bottoms down to 15% for teams axing a manager when sat bottom of the table. So what about the time period? Well, the same mantra really appears here too as well. The table that I'm going to show you next highlights how survival teams remain largely positive until the turn of the calendar year. And the table, after this point, only 2 out of the 22 clubs since the 92-93 have avoided the drop. Southampton in 93-94 and Aston Villa with Paul Lambert in 2014 and 15. And the clubs appear to know this, with the majority of changing occurring between October and December, as you can see here from this chart. Interesting, isn't it? And then the next one, the chart here, shows you and visualizes how the survival rate dips over the course of a season, with no club ever surviving after axing a manager well in the bottom 3 beyond the month of February. So there you go. That's some of the interesting stats for you to have a little chinwag as well. And then the next one, the table that I'm going to show you again, is both the position and time into one table since the 95-96 campaign. Emphasizes the clear correlation between survival and axing a manager early, well in 18th or 19th place. But no, I think that's the wrong one here. This is the one I wanted to bring up to you. Is it the one I've got that mixed up? Yeah, I think I've got them mixed up. So apologies for that. But no clubs retain top flight status after sacking a manager while rock bottom after the month of October. They did not. Now, who are the winners and losers of this? Tottenham achieved the biggest bounce in history. Juan de Ramos in October 2008, hoisting them from rock bottom to finish the season in 8th spot under Harry Redknapp. Now, several teams also enjoyed huge bounces, 2017 and 18, with Everton rising 9 places after getting rid of Ronald Koeman, while Leicester and Crystal Palace jumped 8 spots after the departures of Craig Shakespeare and Frank de Boer, respectively. All 3 exits took place between September and October, the golden period for a manager bounce. Let's have a look here, as you can see from that image. So that's a definitely interesting stat. So in terms of clubs' historic success with a manager bounce during precarious times, Forest might think twice about relieving Steve Cooper from his job of his duties as manager of Nottingham Forest. Now, they have previously sacked 2 managers, Frank Clark in the 96-97 season and Dave Bassett in the 98-99 season, well in the bottom 3 over the past 31 years, but they suffered relegation both times. But in contrast, Everton, who sacked Frank Lampard in January, have previously retained their unbroken top flight status all 3 times after axing a manager well in the relegation zone. Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, and Southampton have also rung the changes this term and survived more times than not. And in summary, the chances of avoiding the drop following a managerial change after the turn of the year stands at just 9%, regardless of position. In addition to acting early, clubs should not make managerial changes before hitting rock bottom. So if you are in that relegation zone, changing managers is with the stats will not turn in your favor. But if you're not at rock bottom, but you see a rock kicking in, then you need to do it as early as you possibly can. It's interesting when you look into it, isn't it? What do you think? Are West Ham right to stick with David Moyes for the season? Should we have got rid of him a lot earlier? You hear some fans going with the debate about getting rid of Moyes after the Leicester game pre-World Cup. But was there really a rot at that stage? Were West Ham right to stick with David Moyes? Are Leeds right to get rid of their manager right now and go for the manager bounce with Sam Allardyce? Or is it too late? Were Leicester right to get rid of their manager and bring in Dean Smith? Crystal Palace has worked. Everyone thought Roy Hodgson was a dinosaur, but he saved them for a year at the Premier League. Will they reward him with a contract? Who knows? But Big Fat Sam's back at Leeds. Who would have funked it? Nobody would have funked it. Interesting times ahead. Leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on the feedback on the show. Hit the thumbs up as well. If you're new around here, please hit that cheeky subscribe button. We do appreciate your support. Also, look at the channel memberships. Loads of shows are getting loaded up there exclusively for the members only. So if you're interested in becoming a channel member, then please support us there. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Take it easy. And of course, come on, you Irons.